Hello there. I'm Joni from jonesartgallery.com, and I am the resident artist at the Drake Council on Aging. And today we are going to do another fun tutorial, and we've had numerous requests on mandalas. Okay, this is the one that we're going to do today. So what you will need is a canvas or canvas board. Okay, the smaller sizes are better. Okay, so canvas or canvas board is fine, and it can. The difference between a canvas and a canvas board is canvas kind of glued to this backing, and a stretched canvas is canvas that has been pulled and wrapped around a wooden frame and then stapled on the back. Okay, so this is an 8 by 10. I believe this is 8 by 8. So actually, any one of these will work. All right, so whatever you have, and if you have one of our famous Reiki Council on Aging art packs, you probably have both. Okay, so you can use whichever one your heart desires. Okay, now I've pre-painted mine black. Okay, and I've actually put a little green paint in there as well. So those of you with good cones and rods in your eyes have seen a little flash of green here and there. That's exactly what that is, a little flash of green. So what you will need, canvas board, you will need a ruler, you will need this picture. So if you have an art pack from DCOA, you have one of these. If you don't, take a snapshot of it right this very moment. So you have it on hand. Okay. You will need green paint, right? Because this mandala is a lot of different colors of green, right? To some of that green, we're going to add some yellow, all right? This is kind of a goldy yellow. You absolutely will need white paint. And these are acrylics, by the way. You will need the black in order to go ahead and do uh, pre-coat this. All right, so I also took out a little bit of brown because as I'm looking at some of the goldy yellows on here, it's kind of a darker yellow or maybe a federal gold in there. So we want a few little different things. So you need water, okay? Water bowl. Don't put it in a cup because then you'll drink it by mistake. We need a paper plate or something similar to use as a palette. Um, Brush, absolutely. So we can take our black paint and paint this. And what else do we need? What else? Paper towels. Lots of paper towels. Okay. These are acrylic paints again, which means for those of you who don't already know, and for those of you who do, I'm sorry I keep repeating myself, but they are, well, they're wet. If you get them on your clothes, you probably can go and rinse them off or wash them off with some soap and warm water. Once they dry, they're a permanent. So this particular shirt, okay, I've bleached it many times. The paint does not come off. Once it dries, it's pretty permanent. The other thing you will need is your hot cocoa or some similar drink that you truly like. And of course, it's optional, except for me. Okay, I have to have my hot cocoa or peach tea. Okay, the other things that you're going to need is dotting tools. Now, there are such things as dotting tools that you can use, which are things like this, and they're sold as nail art. People use them to decorate their nails. We use them to dot, right? And I have some bigger ones here. These are just acrylic rods, actually, and they're all different sizes. It is absolutely not necessary for you to have these things. Right? You may use, okay, the back of a pen. Actually, any flat surface, all right, will work. Any flat surface will work, dotting. Knitting needles make very little tiny dots, as do toothpicks. big, very tiny dots, right? You could actually use a small paintbrush. All right, so many of you have paintbrushes. You can actually dot with the paintbrush, with the brush side or the back side. Okay, the back side makes cool, very cool. This is a colored pencil. Again, any kind of flat edge. I've even had really adventurous people who put glue on the bottom of their pencils, and then they'll put like a penny or a nickel, and they just paste it right on there, and they make their own dotting tools, which is totally awesomely amazing to me. Okay, and then again, this is like a nail comes in a nail kit, so you can dot with these. All right, this side is kind of a weird side. I don't know. I'm sure it would be fun to dot with, but it wouldn't make a dot. It would make more of a line. Okay, so you can dot with absolutely anything. All right, acrylic paints. If you look at my art table, right, you will see that there's lots of paint on the art table. Right, again, this paint doesn't come off. Right, so this is the art table. If you're working in an area that you love, right, cover it. Go to the dollar store, get a plastic tablecloth, anything on that idea, okay, will keep that clean. And actually, you could put it right on the floor as well. All right, you can cover your floor. Um, okay, so without further ado, my darlings, let's get going. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to try to position you so that you can see everything myself is doing. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make some room for myself over here. One thing about doing art is typically you accumulate a lot of a lot of equipment, extra canvases, extra brushes, extra paint. You never know what you're going to be in the mood for, right? So, first things first, put some black paint on your palette, all right? And then you're going to take your black paint, dip your brush in your black paint, and you're going to go ahead and paint on this canvas or canvas board, whichever you are using. All right, if you haven't done this ahead of time, go ahead and put a coat and then let it dry. Acrylic paints dry relatively quickly, so you can actually just kind of fan it and it'll probably dry in about 5 minutes. So you can stop the recording if you want to. I have a fan. Some people use a hair dryer on cool, right? And I always put 2 coats on because I don't want to miss anything. So I always, even if I don't see any spots that I missed, I go ahead and do a second coat. Okay, those little sparkly areas that you're seeing is just because I have some children that come in for art class, and we were using sparkles. And if any of you have ever worked with sparkles before, you know they get all over the place. Okay, so I am going to take one. I'm going to take my knitting needle here, and I'm going to just dip it in my white paint a little bit because I want to find the center. I want to find the center of my canvas. Okay, and again, let me see, this ruler here is 14 going across this way. So halfway obviously is going to be 7. So I'm putting a little white dot there at the 7-inch mark. So now I know exactly where center is on my canvas. All right. So I'm going to put my ruler aside, and typically what I do at this point is I start making all kinds of guidelines. I thought for this one, we'd wing it because we're in a wing it mood today. All right. So what I'm going to do is put in the very first dot, which is right there. And then we're going to kind of build around it. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. So my very first dot, and the very first dot is kind of a dark green. And then once it dried, there's a lighter green dot on top of it. So we call it top dotted, okay? So any of these big dots that you see, actually these outer dots are like a dark green, and then they've been top dotted with a lighter green. So, but you want to let it dry, of course, before that happens. Okay, so I'm going to try. I put this to the side. Let me see. Let's see if I can keep it in frame for you. Ha! Look at me. I am getting good. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm getting good, good at this. I have done a number of tutorials. So even though I'm not wonderful at it yet, I'm getting better. So so if I look at this middle dot, and what I'm doing is kind of comparing it to the outer ring of green dots. It's not quite as big as that one, all right? So you want to save your biggest tool for dotting for the outside of your ring, okay? So that can be, like I said, it can be a pencil with an eraser on the back of it. It can be any kind of a flat surface type. I'm going to save that for my outside ring. I'm try to get some more sparkles off of here. And I'm going to take my dark green and put some on my palette. Now, if you have a art pack from uh, GCOA, use whatever green you have. Okay, I'm going to put a kind of a little bit out there because I know I'm going to end up mixing some white with it, okay, to kind of change the value a little bit. If your green is too bright, you can add a little bit of the brown or even a little bit of the black to it. Okay, that will make it a nice earthy color. Okay, I'm kind of liking this green, which is kind of a medium green, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that green. So I'm going to just kind of guess here. Like I said, let's just wing it. Okay. So when you're doing your dotting, all right, you're going to don't mush it into the paint, but we want to see a little bit of a nipple on the end of that. All right, and then I'm going to go straight down, like don't hold it like a pencil. Go straight down on your canvas. And again, we're not mushing, all right? We're just making a dot, a simple dot, okay? And that looks pretty good, and it's right in the center of my canvas, just where I wanted it to be. Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave that there. And the second ring, okay, the second ring around here, a little bit lighter than that center dot. Okay, so I'm going to clean. Don't let the paint dry on the tips of whatever tools you're using. I wipe off the excess and then I put it in my water dish like this so that it's not, the paint is not drying on there. Okay, so I want to go back to my palette here. And again, the next row of dots, I want them to be a teensy bit lighter. So you can use whatever you want to mix, but I'm going to take a little bit of the green and I'm going to put it somewhere else. Okay, and then I'm going to take the white, right, and I'm going to mix the white in there. Okay, and be careful not to whip it all over the dish because then you won't have any to use for dotting. Okay, so these are my two greens now. I have one that's kind of a minty color. They're really pretty green. So I'm actually going to use that to create a ring of dots around my green dot. Now, if you have a thin, this is a knitting needle, and I think I'm going to go ahead and use my knitting needle. Okay, I have quite a bit of paint on my brush here. So I'm going to go ahead, dip it right in the brush. Now, pay attention to this part, okay? I'm going to make a dot just north of the dot that's here. So I'm getting as close as I can without actually touching the big dot. Now, when I go to place the second dot, I'm looking at the first one and then following it down and lining it up. Okay, it's important that you do it this way so that your dots come out spaced evenly. Now, I'm going to do one on the west side. I'm going to follow my eye over to the east side. Okay, look what I have. It's so exciting. I have done a ton of these and they never get old. You absolutely love them. All right, so dipping my knitting needle and I'm putting one, two dots in between the four dots that I have there. So I'm going to go ahead and put two dots in between each of those dots. And this knitting needle is making me so very happy here because it's like, this is an amazing dotting tool. Okay. If I go too fast for you, halt, halt the film. Okay, look at that. Yay. Okay. All right. Don't get it. Okay. I'm excited. I'm going to clean off my knitting needle or slash dotting tool. And again, putting it in the water. See, here's my mandala so far. Isn't it beauteous already? Okay. So here we have it. All right. So next row of dots looks like the original green, only a bit bigger. So choose something else. Okay. Choose the end of your paintbrush. Choose the back of a pencil. All right. You could choose a bigger knitting needle, and some people have even used crochet hooks, the back of crochet hooks. And again, any kind of really flat surface will actually work here. So I'm actually going to go look for a tool that I know is in my magic box of these here. Smaller, smaller, smaller. Okay, so here's a really kind of small one. So anything that kind of is this size, and I'm wondering if that's even big enough actually. Maybe I want to go teensy bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with this one, which is the size of, almost the size, oh, you know what? A pencil. It's about the size of a pencil point. Okay, and I am going to take, oh, I stuck my finger in the paint. And so, all right, so I'm going to go back to my original green, and I'm going to follow the same routine. We're going to go north, south, okay? Getting as close as we can without actually touching the mid dot or the dots around it. Okay, due west, east. Ta-da! Okay, so now, as before, I'm going to try to fit two dots in between them. Okay, which I can just barely do it, but do it I can. Okay, it's another one here, here. Again, take your time. If I'm moving too quickly for you, stop the film and wait. Okay, so here's my second row here. So now we've done the middle dot and two rows on the outside. So what I find is that people sometimes get lost with all the rows and stuff. So if you count the middle dot and then 1, 2 rows from the middle dot, that's where we are. Okay, and the next row is kind of that yellowy gold color. All right, so let's switch colors. So clean off your tool and put it in the water. Put it in the water. All right, now I'm going to take my yellow, right? and I just got all over my hands, which is not new for me. Okay, and you can use straight yellow if you want to. This is a pretty bright yellow, but this particular, it's a little bit more diminished in the handout. So this is your picture. If you think you'll like it better one way or the other, absolutely go right ahead and do it any way you want to. I'm going to take and add a teensy bit of brown. For those of you who do not have brown, green and red makes brown, if in fact you want brown. Um, if you want this lighter, okay, you could add a little white to it. Maybe I'll do both and see which one I like better. Okay, I thought I was going to add brown to this, but it seems like it's just about out. Okay, let's see. Is there anything in here? Yay! Okay, so I'm going to use the brush that I cleaned. All right, that had the green on it. So it had green on it. And then I put it in the water. Again, we do not want the paint to dry in our brushes or on our tools. And drop some paint. Let me pick it up. Okay, that's my exercise for today. Oh, kidding, kidding. I did my treadmill. Okay, so I am going to, right, do this. I don't know if can you see this yellow? It's right here. Yeah, right there. And I didn't put much out, I guess. So I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to just tap the brown and add it in there. So kind of what I'm getting is this kind of mustardy color, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I'm adding more yellow to it. Okay, so I'm ended up with this kind of mustardy color. And actually the color is pretty close to the original. It's just a teensy shade darker, which is kind of exciting. And it's nice to have that much control over your paint. Not that I'm a control freak or anything. God forbid. All right, never mind. All right. So these dots, next thing I need to decide is how big do I want them? Remember, they're kind of winging this a little bit. So if your dots come out big or whatever, don't worry about it. You will absolutely love it. So the next row of dots is either the same size or a teensy bit bigger. So let's see what we have. Maybe we're going to use the back of a pencil. Let me see. Oh, where did my other tools go? Yeah, is this one a little bit bigger? And that one, that's about the same size. Okay, so here we go, teensy bit bigger, I think. Where's the teensy bit bigger? Let me see here. Yeah, I'm going to say that these equal like the back of a pencil with an eraser on it. An eraser on it. Okay, so let's move this tool out of the way. All right, so again, follow the same scenario. Okay, we're going into our yellow, and now we're going north, south, east, and west, or west and east in this case. Okay, and your tool will lose paint. It will use up the paint relatively quickly. So depending on how much you're getting on the tool to begin with, you probably have to, re-dip your tool like every other one, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead because now I'm getting out a little bit further. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole spacing thing again. I'm going to line up this with this one, this with that one. Use your eye. Use your eye. I'm putting this one in the middle, I hope. And then I'm looking across and doing that. Yay! That looks so awesomely cool. Now, the trick is can I fit another one of these in between here? And I think I could. I think I could try it. Okay, so I'm going to put my get my tool, and I'm not mushing my tool down into the paint at all. Okay, I have one guy that's a little bit lower than the other. So I'm just going to re-dot him slightly just to kind of bring him out a little bit. Okay. Can you make corrections on these? People ask often. Okay. Little corrections you can make, right? And if you make big mistakes at the end, all right, then you would take some black and a very small detail brush and then go ahead and fix any errors that you feel are on here. Okay. So with this little guy, I'm going to kind of go a little bit over to this side a little bit more, that side a little bit more, only because I felt there was like too big of a space there. So I actually just made that dot a little bit bigger. Okay. So again, little corrections are absolutely okay. Right? What do you think? Okay, this one over on the side looks a little bit weak. Okay, I'm redoing it. Okay, I have to say, even though it's not perfect, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Okay, clean off your tool. Put it in the water. So now we should have a middle dot and 3 rows. Look at your handout. Middle dot and 3 rows. The third row is that kind of mustardy kind of color. And I have to say, yeah, looking good, baby. Okay, so our next row of dots go back to our original green and are the same size as our middle dot. All right, so whatever tool you used for that middle dot, we're going to go ahead and use once again. And we're going to go around in a circle. So we are on 1, 2, 3, our 4th row of dots. So easy to get lost when you're kind of looking at that handout. So count. Okay, so I have one here. And remember, go with the north and south routine. It's going to keep your dots lined up, and the more in line they are, the cooler they look. Okay, and this one I'm going to do west, east. Okay, looking good. And now, how many can I fit in there? You know what? Instead of trying to fit them in there, I'm going to try to go right in the middle here. And then I'm going to follow my eye to here. Okay, I'll have 6 dots. And I'm going to do the same thing from here to here. All right, so again, using the original green, trying to get in between those 2 dots here and here. Yay. I'm telling you, I'm having too much fun here almost. Okay. All right. So I can fit at least one more dot in between these. So I am going to go ahead and do that. Okay. Look. Are you excited as I am? I have been teaching art for over 40 years, and it never gets old. Sometimes I'll look at something and I'll be, oh my God, I can barely believe, you sort of almost don't remember doing it. Or you're like, where did that come from? Okay, so we are going to do this. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of dots and a center dot. Right? Now comes the fun part, right? And clean off your tools. Clean off your tools, kids. All right, so clean off the excess, then put it in the water. Okay, now the fun part, right, is the little white dots that are going around our 1, 2, 3, 4th row of dots. See those little white dots going around there? Okay, I'm going to go back to my knitting needle because those dots were just the right size. It was extremely cool. All right, so I'm doing these little dots right here, okay, around here, right? So let me go ahead and do some, and then you will know exactly what I mean. So I'm dipping in my white, and I am going right around these dots. Okay, so I'm going to start kind of doing that first. Then I'm re-dipping and going 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, see it on one side? There's 4 dots coming down this one side. Okay. Dip your knitting needle, or this can be the point of a pencil. Okay, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, ta-da! Okay, so now I am going to go ahead and put my first dots kind of around all of the green ones. So I end up like that, and I have a starting point for everyone. Don't let the paint build up on your tool. I'm cleaning that off. Okay, dipping back into the white, and then making my top dots dots on top of those green ones there. Okay, your hand has a very small comfort zone. If you need to, go ahead and move your canvas around. Okay, you are totally gonna love this. Okay, let me go here, this, and like this. So now I have all my little white dots started. Now I'm going to go ahead and go around each of the green dots, remembering not to let the paint build up on my tool. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, then dip, and 2, 3, 4, and dip, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, see what's going on here? Loving it. Okay, 2, 3, 4, dip, 4. Ta-da! Okay, okay. Take your time. Do a good job. Okay, I'm going to fast for you. Put me on hold. Pause the recording. Okay. See, we are so getting there. And if you have a lot of paint out on your palette or your plate here, this paint, like I said, has a tendency to dry out kind of quickly. So, don't put a lot of paint out on your plate, but you can always give yourself more if you need to. Okay. Okay, so I'm doing one side, re-dipping, and doing the other side. I'm finding that I'm kind of running out of paint just as I finish one side here. So I am re-dipping for each side. Okay. That one I just kind of redotted a little bit. Okay. So here are my dots. They're kind of cool. So I'm going to kind of take a look at them, make sure I like them all, which I do. I do. Very awesome. And now I'm going to clean off my tool and I'm going to continue to use this tool. All right. So I'm going to call this row of white dots first white row of dots. All right. So here I thought I was going to continue with the dots, yet we do need another row of dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is what we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to go back to the light green, okay, and do this dot. We're going to go to the light green and do this row of dots. All right, and we're going to make these dots, they're either the same size or a little bit bigger than the mid dot. Okay, it looks like it's a teensy bit bigger to me. As a matter of fact, it looks like they're the biggest dot we've made so far. So I'm going to go ahead and switch tools. Okay, and this tool, that one bigger, bigger than this one. It is slightly. Okay, so this one, like I say, the back of a knitting needle, and anything that has a flat surface. You could use this if you wanted to make a huge circle, right? And I'm going to the lighter green again. So I'm hoping that I mixed enough here. Okay, so I'm going to go top. Follow your eye all the way down to the other side. Okay. Okay, I'm turning my canvas around, doing top, follow your eye all the way down to do that one. And this one isn't exactly round. I'm going to repress it. And you'll notice that I didn't fill the tool. I just repressed the top one. Okay, so now same scenario. Let's find the middle here. Follow your eye and make another one there. Okay, this is exactly the same routine that we followed before. Okay, so, and there are so many dots on this mandala that by the end of it, you will be a dot making pro. Ta-da! Okay, so let me look here. All right, so I am going to I'm going to try to fit 2 more dots. Well, maybe just one. Do I want to leave that much space? Well, we're going to white dot around them. So, yeah, let's do one in between them. We can do it. Okay, so I'm going to go in between here and here. Okay, now look at this dot. Okay, it's malformed because there was not enough paint on the tool. So I'm just going to add a little bit more paint and then redip it. Okay, okay, starting to come together quite nicely. Okay, and typically I have enough to do about 2 dots, but again, it depends on how much paint you're putting on here. So that is not a steadfast rule here. Okay. And I am running out of paint here. Am I going to be able to get 2 more dots out of this? I bet I can. I try hard enough. Oh, this one didn't quite. Let's do it again. Ta-da! Oh my God, you must be loving this. All right, taking off the excess paint, putting the tool in the water, okay? Whether you're using, no matter what you're using, because we're going to kind of go back to the knitting needle. And again, this is equivalent to like a blunt point on a pencil. So you could actually just use a pencil. And remember that the acrylic is going to dry at the end of the pencil. So don't use like your favorite pencil. Okay, the other thing that you could use certainly is a pen. Okay, either with the point out or with it off, you can use the back. Okay, so again, you're only limited as far as your imagination can take you. So I'm going to I don't know if you can see this. Okay, so we're working on this green, light green row of dots. And if you look really close, there's some little mustardy dots around those. Okay, so I will go ahead and put those in so that you can see. Right? Okay, so this one I probably am going to run out of paint, which means that I need to mix some more. See those little tiny mustard dots there? I'm going to go ahead and mix some more for myself because I'm pretty sure I do not have enough. So I have a mixing brush, if you will. So whatever you're using to mix, whether it's a palette knife, um, I'm going to go ahead and take some more of this yellow here. And actually, wonder if we shouldn't just go, no, let's add a little bit of the brown to it. Okay. And if you did not originally add brown to it, don't add brown to it this time. If you like it just the way it is, that's quite all right. Remember that this is your masterpiece. So even though I'm kind of showing you technique, um, it should, make your own determination here and make this piece very much your own. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these mustardy dots in, and I will show you after I am done what that looks like. Okay, you could, I'm putting these in here thick enough, you could actually use a small paintbrush to put those little dots in. I'm really loading the tool at this point so that I get a really decent sized dot. I'm thinking for that dot of that, we want it to be really kind of noticeable here, so I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. This one's going here. This one's going here. Yay. Okay, see what's happening? It's like magic. Magic, you know. Okay, let's put this one here. So I'm really kind of globbing these on a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of my green paint because this little guy looks like he could use a little help. So again, we do a little fixer-upper. Okay, so now I have these little mustardy colored dots here, right, which I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing we did with the little white dots. That is, I'm going to find this little dot, and I'm going to use it to go ahead and work around these dots. And I will show you exactly how I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, okay, right here. And I think I'm going to go with a little bit different tool this time. Okay, this is about the size of a blunt pencil and tissue. Oh, tissue's on the floor. Wait, wait, keep dropping everything. Okay, so I'm going to try this because I wasn't getting enough paint. This is better. So choose a more blunt pencil if that's what you're using. If you actually have dotting tools, switch to a little bit of a bigger head. Okay, so that's what I'm getting right there. I'm liking it. Actually, I wonder what the bright yellow would look like here. Ah, not too bad. I think I like the mustard better though. Let's stay with the mustard. Okay, so we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you can see. Okay, see how those mustard dots are going around there? Someone said to me, it takes a great deal of patience to do these, and maybe, but I actually feel like it's kind of like a labor of love. It doesn't feel cumbersome to me. So doing four dots. And my students who do them do not report that they feel cumbersome. As a matter of fact, they are mandalas, so this makes perfect sense, but they almost have a meditative or relaxing um, feeling about them. Okay, so doing four on each side. 4, 1, 2, 4. Let's say getting there, baby. Okay. Right, so again, I'm finding I have to kind of re-dip for each side depending on how much paint I actually get on the tool. Okay, yeah, paint wants to be about the consistency of cream. All right, so if your paint is too thick, you can try adding a teensy bit of water to it, but it wants to, you want it to have a nice flow about it. Okay, this one has a bit too much flow. Okay. Okay, so again, kind of, if you do not have enough paint on the tool, okay, you won't end up with like a full circle. Like some of these in the middle here, some of these little guys in the middle, as they're drying, they're coming out kind of really light, right? So at that point, I'm going to actually end up top dotting them anyway, but if I was not, then I might go ahead and go over them. Okay. Okay, this one, let's round that out just a little bit. So again, you have a little bit of play. And again, as a general rule, I'm dipping for each new side. However, if I do 2 dots and I realize the third one's not coming out that wonderful, then I go ahead and redip. Okay, so there's not really a steadfast rule. One thing I really liked about art, right from the very beginning, and not just with mandalas, but art in general, you do need some instruction, lights and darks, composition, value, all of that happy horse stuff. But in the end, once you know how to get the effects that you want and how to make things look 3D, really anything is good. There's no such thing as a bad painting. You might have a picture, a drawing, or a painting that you're not crazy about, or you look at someone else and you think, ah, that's not my favorite piece of theirs. But that just means it's not their favorite, your favorite piece of theirs. Doesn't make it wrong, makes it more like personal preference. So, I mean, if the art is technically correct, and I use that phrase in lieu of a better phrase, but when work is being judged, like if it's an exhibit or something on that idea, then it has to have certain criteria. So, okay, so we say, okay, technically it's wonderful or it's not wonderful, whatever it might be. But in the end, even if something is technically incorrect, if you love it, then it's fine. It's art. We like it. Okay. So now we are, and this is super duper interesting here. We're going to do these little, we're going to do white dots around the mustard colored dots. So I'm going to go ahead, clean off my tool, and okay, so we've done the mustard colored dots. Now we're going to do these white dots. So we actually have two lines here. Okay, maybe you can see it better on the bigger piece. All right, so I have my mustard colored dots going around here. Now I'm going to put white ones and do a second row of those little dots. Okay, I'm going to make the first dot a wee bit bigger maybe. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with my wee bit bigger tool, and that can be any tool that you want it to be. This is kind of this tool is going to be like the size of an eraser on the end of your number 2 pencil. Okay, so I'm putting it right here. Okay, I'm putting it right, lining it up with my light green dots. Now I'm using my baby finger to just kind of anchor my hand while I am dotting over here when I need to. Okay, so I want this kind of big white dot there. Okay, and now I'm going to walk some smaller dots down the side of that. So I'm going to take the one that was a little bit smaller. I'm going to say blunt point of the pencil for this size. Okay, and I'm going to not stick my finger in the water. Okay, so now I'm going to just kind of go on each side of those. Okay, coming down, coming down. So they're going to just gradually get smaller. Okay. Okay, so I'm just doing on both sides of the big white dot here. Okay, I'll turn this around and let me see if I can do one standing up and not mess it up. Okay, can you see where that went? If yours does not look exactly the same, that's good because you want it to be unique to you. Okay, again, this is just the instructional part of it. Okay, the part that looks like you and your preferences is absolutely a-okay. Right? And like I said, typically in the past, when we've done tutorials, we've put a lot of guidelines on the canvas, and then at the end, we try to kind of get rid of the guidelines. But I thought this time we'd just kind of wing it, and I'm kind of liking that we're winging it like this. It looks awesome. Okay, clean off the excess. All right. Again, if you feel like I'm too far ahead of you, absolutely stop me. Put me on pause. Okay. All right. So now we have these larger and mid-sized white dots. We want to go lighter light. We want to go a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to use a point like a bluntly sharpened pencil. And let me see what I can do with that. Let me see if that works. Oh my word. Okay, that works. All right, so I'm going to hold this up this way, putting a dot right beside my next smallest ones. Okay, I'm working here. So I have my big white dot, the two beside it, and now I'm going even smaller, smaller here. Can you see what's happening up here? Isn't that cool? Right. I'm my own best fan here. My mother used to say, "Oh, you entertain yourself so well." And it's all true. Like, woo, partay. Someone said to me, "What is your goal in life?" I said, "To partay on a regular basis." You know, life has its tough spots, certainly. So whenever possible, we like to get in the partay part. Okay, and that's where you have fun, you know. Even in a pandemic situation, you can have fun. Yezola, I like it. This guy could come up here a little bit more. I think it's, as I'm showing it to you, I'm kind of seeing it upside down. So my brain gets a chance to use the other hemisphere, kind of see what's going on here. I have to say I'm liking it. Okay, clean off the tool before you put it into the water. Okay, so now we're going back to mustard, all right, and we're putting mustard dots in between the white. This is kind of exciting. Cool. Okay, and they're about the same size as the big white dot. Okay, so hopefully I have enough point, and I'm actually drying this on my shirt, which unless you have an art shirt on, I don't recommend. Okay, so I have my mustard colored paint here. All right, so I'm mixing it in, and hopefully I mixed it up. I keep running out of mustard color. Okay, so let me look at this once again. All right, so it's right in between the little white guys. So that's a little bit more paint on. Okay, can you see where they're going? Right there. All right, let's do it to it. Okay, and I'm finding once again that I'm having to dip, and part of it is because I'm once again running out of this color. I probably should have mixed like whole bunches of it because I keep having to remix it here. Okay, let's see if we can get some together here. Yeah, there. Ah, that was a good one. Okay, so I'm putting in my little, what I'm calling mustard colored dots because to me they look like golden brown mustard. Oh, come on, come out well. There we go. And we're gonna make it here. Let's try you. All right, I'm gonna clean off my brush because now it's kind of getting all stuck on the end of it there. And when that happens, I don't get like really, really good circles. Okay, so I'm gonna get my mixing brush once again, and I think maybe a clean paper towel. Yeah, and I'm gonna take the mustard color that's on there and just add it to the yellow I already have. Pick up a little brown in here, okay? And I'm making a little bit more of my mustard color. in through here. Okay, good, good. And I have quite a bit on my brush. So I'm going to go ahead and use the brush. Okay, dipping right in my brush. And that is working out very well. Okay. All right, that's what I look like, my mustard colored dots. And I have to say, I'm kind of excited about them, really liking them. Okay, so now we're going to our biggest dots. And I do see that we need the mustard again at some point. However, I'm going to wait until we get to that point before I mix more. All right, clean the excess off. Put your brushes and tools. This is coming out better than the handout. I'm loving it. Okay, so we want to go back to what looks like original green. And I actually have a lot of my original green left, I am happy to say. And I'm going to use, how big do we want it? Use your biggest tool. Or like I say, if you have, in fact, like stuck like a coin to the end of a pencil or something on that idea, use your biggest point or your biggest tool. So I'm going to go ahead and put these right where the yellow dots are. Okay, see them? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead. Well, I was going to line them up, but I think I'll stay lined up with my yellow dots so that things are where they're supposed to be. Okay, yellow dot. Okay, and when your tool starts to run out of paint, go ahead and refill the tool here. Okay. And as you can see, I'm moving the canvas right along. I want to show you this dot that doesn't really look like a dot because I did not have enough paint on my tool. Okay, so as long as it's not a lot of paint, you just redot over it. Okay. Ta-da! Beauteous. Tis beauteous. Okay, clean off the tool. Off the tool. And now go to your handout and look at what is around those big green dots. Okay, we have a circle of dots around them. That's a teensy bit lighter, or maybe it has a little bit of yellow in them. Do they? It's kind of pretty. It's kind of pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take my brush that I've been using for mixing. Make sure it's relatively clean. Okay, and I'm going to take some of this green and then just mix it with a little bit of white. Yeah, if it ends up too white, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And look at this again to make sure that we mix enough. Okay, so let me take this and I'm gonna add just a dab of the yellow to it. Okay, so I put the yellow on the side and then I'm just picking up a little bit on the brush. I just want to change the value or the tone of this green a little bit. So I want it to be a little bit different than what's out there. Okay, so see how this green is darker than this green? Okay, I want to use this one. And again, hopefully I have mixed enough that I can actually get the job done. Okay, so I am going to use the tool that is like the blunt end of a pencil, and we're going to do some circles, some dots around these circles, and I will show you what I am doing right here. And I'm getting my canvas ready. See those little dots up here? I'm giving myself some lead dots, but I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to work from those lead dots down around the edges and sides of, of my big dots. So my big dots are kind of the focal point, but I'll tell you, when people begin to really look at this and they see all the detail and care that you've put into these, they just kind of look at it and go, oh my God, that's amazing. How did you do that? Okay, so I have all these like little lead dots. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put dots on either side of my lead dots. Okay, so I have like 3 little dots over my lead dots. Okay, so make sure you have enough paint on your dotting tool. Okay, and we're gonna put these little dots on here. Okay, can you see them? Sometimes the light gets a little weird. There we go. Is that better? All right. So remember to keep your hand in its comfort zone. Right? Your hand actually has a very small comfort zone. So that's why mural making can be can be such a challenge. You know, with a canvas or a canvas board, you can just kind of move it around and your hand is always kind of staying in its comfort zone. If you've ever worked on a mural, and the biggest one that I worked on was 12 feet long, and it was a considerable amount of years ago. I don't know at this point I would be too keen about climbing up and down a ladder to actually do that anymore, but it took me 3 months to do it. It was for a client and it was on a big 12-foot wall. Okay, so I have my 3 little dots around the big dot. I'm going to clean off the utensil, put it in the water, and I am going to take the tool that's the same size as a blunt pencil point. Okay, yep, trash. Okay, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I think I can go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I can. 1, 2, 4. Okay, this one right here where my finger is. Okay, so I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I hope I don't run out of paint. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm finding like I can sort of get away with 4 up here. See these? Okay, so I'm going around them, and we're actually going to do a row of mustard on these two. So it was good that we left a little bit of space here. Okay, so 4 around each side here. Okay. Typically, when I'm doing my artwork, sometimes I'll listen to some nice relaxing music, which goes really well with mandala creations. Um, in this case, I decided not to, only because in the recording, sometimes it can not only sound muffled, but I don't want it to interfere with my voice so that you can kind of hear what I'm saying here. Okay, so 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Can you see those? That's not cool. Okay. And we have plenty of room for a mustard roll. But I'm looking at my paint supply over here. I'm going to have to make more mustard. I just totally keep running out of that. Okay. Again, if I seem to be, if you need to catch up is what I'm getting at. Don't be afraid to just pause the recording. Or if you've made an error and you need to kind of correct it, go ahead and stop the recording. However, let me tell you that at the end of doing these, typically there's always some kind of cleanup, or I've dripped paint, or I've gotten my fingerprints where they shouldn't be. Okay, so typically I always have to get the paint afterwards and do a little cleanup work. So, if they're just little tiny mistakes that you can, use a detail brush or a small brush to actually clean up afterwards, don't even worry about it. The idea is to not only create something beautiful that you love, also to have a really good time. Okay. Okay, so all my little green dots around, and just for a second, take a look at the whole picture. Don't look at just the dots. Look at the picture as a whole. Okay, and what you start to see is this awesome picture. Okay, really, really starting to take shape. And remember, all we did was start with a center dot, no guidelines there. All right, so I am definitely going to have to mix, and look at the amount of paint on my plate. It's very little, and it created all of this. Okay, so now I'm looking at the mustard is the next row of dots that's going to go there, and I need more. I need more paint because for some reason I keep running out of mustard. Okay, so cleaning my mixing brush once again, and I am going to take it, and I still have green on my brush. Let's see what that's going to do for me. Ooh, baby. Ah, it's making a really kind of limey kind of color. I'm going to add a little bit of brown to that. And we're really going to mustard things up. Yeah. Okay, so again, I kind of have it all over my plate. I want it in one area, and that could be why I keep running out also, because I keep getting it everywhere except where it's supposed to go. Okay, so I'm going to put my brush in there, and again, I'm going to start with my blunt pencil point sized tool. Okay, and I am going to actually maybe I want to make it a teensy bit bigger. Ugh. Oh, I have a new art floor, God love me. And art floor always gets paint on it to be expected. But because it's a new art floor, every time I do, I immediately start cleaning it up. Because again, that's while it's wet is the best time to get paint up off of things. Okay, so I decided that I'm going to go a little bit bigger than this guy. Okay, these are about the same. So I'm Yeah, I'm gonna say about the blunt end of a pen, maybe. I want to go bigger here. That might be too big. Try. Let's try. Whoa. Let's try blue. Is that going to be too big? Maybe. I will find it. Trust me. Okay. Let's try this. And I would have it in the water. Make sure that you kind of dry off the edges because you don't want to water down the paints too much. So I'm putting my mustard color, greenish mustardy, God love me, around my, right at the top of my green. When you put the dots all the way down the sides like that, it's called walking the dots. So believe it or not, we have a technical term for what we're doing. It's called walking the dots. Okay, when you start to bring the dots down the side, that's called walking the dots. This part is just dotting. Okay, look at where we're going. Yay! Okay, I like it. Like I say, sometimes I'm my own best fan. Okay, so I'm going to use like the next size down, which is probably like again the back side of a pen, but a smaller one. And I'm going to put it on both sides of my bigger yellow dot. Okay, before I start walking these babies down the green. All right, and again, you have to have enough paint on your tool, right? So they're just going right to the sides here. And if I can see too much through the dot, then go ahead and redot it, which sometimes happens with the second dot. And this one, let's just do the whole thing over here. Okay. Okay. So we are, as we're working on these dots, the inner rows are either already dry or drying. This part's already dry. So if in fact I want to top dot over those, that is put another color on top of it. And someone said to me, what's the advantage to putting another color on top of it if you're just covering up the color? Well, that's a very good question. And the answer is that you don't use the same size tool so that the bottom dot is actually showing through. Okay, okay, yay, liking it, liking it. Okay, taking the next smallest tool, the size that you have next, and going 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, beauteous. 2, and 3. It's kind of going down and meeting the little dot on the bottom, which is kind of cool. I don't think I realized it was going to do that. And ours, we're using the handout as a guide, but our dots are a little bit bigger, a little bit firmer, and so we actually end up with a very nice kind of unique creation here. And yours will come out even slightly different than mine, or even a lot different. One time I taught this in person at the Draker Council on Aging, and there was this one woman, and she's like, I don't like those colors at all. Can I use any colors I want? I said, you are the creator and can use any colors that you desire. So she actually did all of hers in like pinks and purples, and it actually was a pretty amazing piece. So if yours does not look exactly like this, good for you. Doesn't need to. See what's happening here? This is an awesome, awesome piece. I'm so glad that we chose to do this one. Sometimes in choosing the tutorials, it's not only a matter of finding something that is relatively easy in case, some people have not done them before, but something that is pretty, So even with the fun and paints, which once the center is open, I'm hoping that we'll continue to do those. It's like our version of wine and paint, and and those. Uh, I lost my train of thought. Wait a minute. Versions of wine and paint. Oh, and they typically, everyone's comes out slightly different, even though we're all using the same source picture, to work from. And my thought with those is, it's our version of wine and paint, certainly, but in other places that run like wine and paints, it's always just a very social thing. And by that, I mean most of the people who go there are just kind of there to have a good time and, meet socially and all that good stuff, which is not a problem. If that's your goal, then more power to you. However, when I started doing them there, my thought always was, yeah, I want to have a good time, but I'd also like to have a piece that I wouldn't mind hanging on my wall at home after it was done. So I've always picked the pieces, and the pieces actually are inspirations from online. I might have seen them like on Pinterest, or someone posted a photo of something that I really liked and thought, okay, we could do this as a class project. When so when you're doing these, right, it's actually better if it looks more uniquely yours. Um, I think someone said, is it okay to sell them? And I mean, it's not your original idea, so it's not a good idea to try and sell them or make money on them. If, on the other hand, you're making them for your auntie or your niece or your grandchild, and you're not like trying to make mass millions on someone else's ideas, you're okay. If you decide, gee, I like this, and I make 100 prints and sell them for $100 a piece, then you're in trouble, okay? And I mean, even though it doesn't exactly look like this, and this one probably is different enough that it could stand on its own, yet on the other hand, it is inspired by someone else's work. So you want to maintain your own integrity at this point and just kind of do the right thing. Okay. So if you really like something that someone else did and you're going to be inspired by it, then be inspired by it, but try to maybe do at least three things different so that it makes it kind of unique. Either that, if you're reproducing it exactly, just reproduce it for yourself. Okay. Don't try to sell them and make mega bucks on them. Okay. So we have, okay, we have three more white dots as our final row here. So we are so getting there. I'm totally loving it. So these dots are going to go right on top and not on top, in front of these dots. Okay. So the big yellow dots that you see are going to have over them some big white dots. Ta-da. Okay. So always, be respectful of other people's works. Um, the Greater Havel Arts Association, especially during the pandemic, I mean, even before the pandemic, they had artists coming in and demoing their artwork and procedures and all of that good stuff. And now with the pandemic, we have been doing them online, pretty much like what we're doing here. And the artists are always very careful to say, I got this idea from a magazine. Obviously, it's not anyone's original work. It's not our original work. Please don't try to make a profit from it. Okay. So I am going to take now my next smallest tool. So go like a size down or smaller here. Okay. Okay, so see what I'm doing with my white here? Making these three white dots, which is the last thing here that they have, but I think we could add maybe even another row here. But we'll see, we'll see. Let's do this first. Okay, so see my three dots are there, and my white is holding up so good. Thank you, thank you. Okay, see? And looking quite cool. There we go. Nice. And the cool thing about this, if you finish this and you say, well, I'd like these dots, these particular dots to be brighter or wider, whatever it is, once they dry, you'll just dot right over them. And like magic, you have exactly what you want. Okay, and again, makes it uniquely yours, which is kind of neat. All right, so now, oh, look it! Yeah, it's a good, oh, it's another one here. It's a good thing I'm showing them to you because, like I say, it forces the other hemisphere of my brain to just take a look here at what we're doing. Kind of nice here. Okay, now we're talking, baby. Okay, so let's take a closer look. Okay, ours is actually a bit brighter, which is kind of cool. And like I said to you, these three dots over here, you could leave them like that, or you could add an extra dot here, whatever it is that you might want. Okay, but it's at this point where you could do some of the top dotting, right? So with these dark green dots here, you could do a lighter green. I'm going to take my mixing brush, okay, and I'm going to take some of my white and add it to this green. So I end up kind of a minty green. I'm going to add a little yellow to it, I think. I'm thinking. So that I end up with a nice shade of kind of minty green. And you can do anything your heart desires. Okay, so again, these dots are relatively dry, or actually mine are all the way dry. So you're going to choose a tool that is smaller than the dots you're going to top dot. Okay, so I'll do a couple so that you can see them. All right, because the idea of top dotting is not to obliterate the dot underneath, it's to be able to see both colors. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that. So I'm going to continue on. And the truth is if I didn't like it, I could just dot, let it dry, and just dot right over it and make it a different color. So you actually have quite a bit of play here, and because our picture is based, the design of it is basically finished. Now comes the fun part. You can just really play with it. For those of you who are getting DCOA packs, you might even have some sparkle stuff going on there. Okay, and if you have some sparkles, you can add to this. You're really golden. And you can just never have enough bling. That's all I have to say. Okay, so I'm going to, in these little orangey dot, well, kind of mustard colored dots. They're pretty dry here now, so I'm actually going to add a little dot of maybe some white. There's a little teensy bit of white in there. Let's try it and see what it looks like. Let's try it and see. Ha! You're gonna like it. Look at those little white dots in there. Okay, so this is what's known as top dots, where you don't obliterate the dot underneath. You just add a color to the top of it, and you can see both colors now. Okay, and as long as the tool you're using to top dot with is smaller than the original dot, then you're golden. Okay? See those? That's kind of cool. All right, so it's a nice way to brighten up a picture if you feel that it's not bright enough. Okay, in this particular picture, I felt like these kind of mustardy dots, especially once they dried, were a little bit, well, a little bit boring. Okay, but they're not anymore. See, they look very cool now, right? So this dot right in the middle, I'm going to take my light green and top dot right in the middle there. Get this lovely green color. Okay, what do you think? I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to round it out a little bit more here. Has a little bit of a point on it. I'm going to take that point off. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it and see. Okay. Voila. Ta-da! Okay, I'm thinking let's stop here because you can still play around with it. You could add like little white dots going down here. This is the basic design. Okay, you could do top dots. You could take some green and top dot into the white, even though they haven't done it here, doesn't mean you can't do it. But look what we have in a very short period of time. And like I said, if everything kind of moved too quickly for you, or you need to make corrections, get your black and a very small brush and go in between or wherever you feel like you might need to make corrections. But I have to tell you, this is one of my funnest ones right now. I'm really liking this. Okay. All right. So I am going to readjust so I can see you once again before I say goodbye. Okay. So this is today's project. Ta-da. And see, closer up. And our colors are a little bit more vibrant. Okay, which makes it even more unique. And again, if yours is even more different than this, congratulations. All right. So now that you have this, if you want to add some glitter to it, whatever that your heart desires, all right, you are the creator. Okay. The ladies and gentlemen at the Drake Council on Aging are in-house. Even though the center is not open, they are there to help you. Okay. They can assist you if you need a ride or you need Meals on Wheels. Contact the Drake Council on Aging. They care about you. I care about you. If you have questions about what paints did you use, how did you mix this, what else can I use besides knitting needles and blah, blah, call me. 978-807-7608 is my cell phone number. If I don't answer, leave me a message and say, look, a good time to call me is tonight at 6, okay? Or whatever's a good time. All right. DCOA is awesome enough to let us share these with absolutely, some people are stuck at home. I got an email from someone today saying, gee, how do I find your links? And, how am I, do I have to just watch it on DATV? You can watch it on DATV, but I can also send you a link. All right. I send them to the Great Behavioral Arts Association. We share with Bereka TV, Drake TV, and it's Bethany at Drake Council on Aging that requested these tutorials. So thank you, Bethany, and thank you, Bethany, for everything that you do. She's she is awesome. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of hers. Okay, so again, Drake Council on Aging, Behavioral Arts Association, BATV, DATV, Ron at DATV. Okay, anyone can get you the links. You can just contact me directly. I will absolutely send them to you. All right, have an awesome day. And as one of my favorite people on the planet says, be legendary. Okay, all righty. Bye bye, everyone.